Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about something kind of important because I went out on a detecting trip this morning on the electric company right-of-way where they have these big power lines going through the middle of our property back in the wooded part. And I want to stress something that's very important. When you look on YouTube and you see detectorists using gloves, there's a reason why. I dug this up less than a quarter inch below the ground. Can you see what that is? Yeah, somebody had a box cutter back there. If I'd have reached into the hole with my bare hands and snatched onto that, it could have really sucked. It's cleaner now because I used an ultrasonic cleaner to get all the gunk off of this, because I wanted you to see. It's junk like this you got to be real careful with. Yeah, that nearly got me, but thankfully I have a pair of those gloves that have the cloth on back, and they have the heavy rubber on front, the latex. They're really good for digging, and they're really good for gripping. Here's an interesting thing. I thought, being that it was utility company right of way, that there would be some metal trash or iron. I went down there with both detectors, the Harbor Freight and the Time Ranger, and found very little. I mean, there's a lot of iron, obviously, but not very many pieces of high-value metal there. And I was in self-tuning, all metal mode for a little while, and then I switched over to discriminate mode, where you can set what's discriminated and what's kept rather than run the program, and I took the iron discrimination off so that it would bleep whenever it went over iron. Lots of iron. I don't even know what half of it was. I found a horrendously big coil of aluminum wire, heavy stuff that was kind of buried just below the surface. And I found the lid, a stainless steel pot lid with the knob still on it, mashed flat and buried in the ground. I got to go back out and get it. Those two things, I have to grab a bag and go get them in the morning. But I also found this little guy. Now, when I found this, and you can see kind of what it is, I'm not entirely sure what kind of attachment that is, but it's all aluminum. It's weird. It rung up really high, so I guess just depends on the shape and size of the metal. But when I got this out of the ground, it was not this color. It almost looked like it was rusted, all of the corrosion, and I'm guessing there's a ton of iron in the soil. But what I did is I put it in an ultrasonic cleaner with some water and just a little bit of Dawn soap, and I ran it for about 8 minutes. And it just took... I was amazed. I didn't think an ultrasonic cleaner would do as good a job as it did. But this is darn near new, the way this came out. I mean, it cleaned it right up. I don't think it would do it with tarnish, but it took the dirt and the crud off of it, pretty quick. Other metals I found it doesn't seem to do as well, but for whatever reason, that ultrasonic cleaner will remove stuff from aluminum like it's going out of style. And I'll show you which one I'm using. I actually have it unplugged and sitting with my gear here. This is what I got. I got this at Goodwill. I paid $5 for this. They didn't even know what they had. I looked on the bottom and I saw it said ultrasonic cleaner. I was like, oh man, that's cool. But you open it up, and inside, there's your transducer in the middle. It's just a stainless steel tank in there. You fill it to the line, put you a little Dawn soap in there, pop that shut and crank it up, and leave the room. This thing's incredibly loud. It hurts your ears. It says 41 kilohertz, but there's a lot of harmonics coming off of that really do hammer your hearing. But anyway, that's what I used today. I tried to clean up some of my finds with it. I figured ultrasound is not going to damage or deface the metal on anything important. But like I said, this thing was like plum black. I mean, it was black and brown. It looked like rust and God knows what other corrosion. But when I stuck it in there with that, it just, within those minutes, you could see all the junk coming off of it, man. It just cleaned it right up. So I can't wait to try that on some silver. If I find some silver, I want to see what it'll do to silver coins. Maybe get all that black off. I know it does a great job with jewelry and such, you know. I've heard that they do. I've never put a piece of jewelry in that. That's actually these fines and a pair of glasses. Years ago I got that. I put a pair of glasses in there and they cleaned right up. And I set it aside for a long time. Forgot that I had it. And, 1 minute. I gotta deal with something here. There. I feel better now. Yeah. We have house guest that will not train. Anyway, that's another story. But anyway, I should be asleep right now. It's like late into the evening. Does not sleep at night. Makes all kinds of noise. Oh God, I'm going down the rabbit hole anyway. Let me get back to it. So, I was thinking about that when I got this. You know, I wonder if that, just for some reason, came to the top of my head to go ahead and dig out that old cleaner, and I'm kind of glad I did. Kind of glad I did. So that I'll be using to clean up fines as I come across them. But this and some kind of a crushed up tag with a serial number, which was unrecoverable. It was just totally corroded away. It was aluminum also. Were the only two things I found of any real value. It was really strange. I mean, there were tons of iron there. And of course, I did find that pot lid, and I found that big hunk of aluminum wire, which I'm going to clean up, and I'm going to put that in my scrap bucket. Because you know, right now on the open market, aluminum is brokering for 68 cents a pound. There's at least a pound in that old hunk of wire I pulled out of the ground, so I'm going to clean that and see if anybody will give me anything for it. But I think what I'm going to do, I know the local scrappers here, the local scrapyard is really, really stingy. They don't want to give you good value on the metals here. And they tell everybody the metals are down, and then you go home and you look at the live graph of what the value of metal is. Yeah, metals are down, but they're not that far down. They're totally fleecing the poor people here. So I think I'm going to load it all up. I know C&D Scrap up in Houston gives you top dollar. They don't lie in the commercial. You get good money for your scrap there. Enough to buy a Coke at least, you know. Hey, you know, put that away, and if you don't buy anything with it, just throw it in a little cash box. Eventually all those nickels and dimes add up. But primarily today, this is what I wanted to talk about. This thing right here. This isn't the first time I found a blade in the ground, or a piece of one. I found those old those old shavers like your grandpa might have had, you know, that you twist the handle and the little thing closes up like this. You put the double-edged razor in, and then you twist the handle, it closes up, and then the edges of the razor stick out either side. I found a lot of those in the ground. Since I've started detecting, I've found quite a few of those. So this is not the only sharp object I have found in just the little bit of time I've been detecting around here. Apparently they're pretty common on these old home sites. This I don't know where it came from. It's not one of mine. I haven't broken one yet. I mean, I'm careful with my equipment. But anyway, yeah, when you detect, if you're going to be digging in the ground and you don't know what's down there, especially if you're going after metal, make sure you wear gloves. And there's all kinds you can get. Just get you something that will provide some marginal protection for your hands. Don't go digging with like latex gloves, you know. I saw this woman on YouTube and she was digging. She had those, you know, those real thin, like prostate exam, thin latex gloves. That's not going to protect you from a blade. Blade's going to go right through that. Get you something with a little bit of I can understand she's doing it to keep her hands clean, but really you need to have the protection aspect in there too. Don't go hurt yourselves, guys. You know, do what you need to do. That's really all I have today. And that was one of the only real significant finds I found today, aside from the blade. So, y'all have a good one. And keep on detecting.